warm welcome each and every one of you. With you today is me, Daiga, multilinguistic international coach therapist from DCTcentre. Also, I'm true speaker, healer, energy worker, guide, mentor, co-creator, galactic ambassador from Pleiadians. And with me today is again two beautiful ladies, Morganne Rayne, spiritual consultant, gratefully providing access to high dimensions of being. Morgan has been called healer of healers as a way to describe her unique spiritual tools she shares. Morgan is here to serve those who seek great understanding of their desire to integrate the consciousness into 3D world. Have deep desire to integrate that consciousness in their 3D world.
That's right.
I always struggle with this last sentence. And Jeannie Rayne. Jeannie is saying about herself, I am lifetime student of growth. I continually take classes to enhance my knowledge base. So at present, I'm studying internal family systems, IFS. So hello, my lovely lady. How you doing?
Doing well, thanks.
Yeah, I'm doing good too. I'm doing good. How
Great.
you doing, Daiga?
Ooh, I'm doing great. I'm sort of melting because in England it's very hot at the moment. So yeah.
My grandson will be there in a couple of weeks. He's going to be there for about a month to visit with his grandparents. So
I don't know anything about weeks or months, but I know at the moment it is hot.
Yeah.
Few days back was literally autumn. It was cold, it was windy, it was autumn, and really in air was autumn. You can feel it. Yeah, but now it's again, summer came back, so unexpectedly.
Yeah, and do you have water there with you?
Water? No, I have a cup of water, yes.
Okay, good.
So that's fine.
We don't really want you to melt. Oh, goodness.
I can nicely melt half and you won't notice.
Well, we got a lot going on in our beautiful country over here. I don't know if you're hearing about it over there, but we got a lot going on.
What is going on, but we have to be careful talking about it.
Yeah, well, we had an assassination attempt.
Yes, I actually saw this on YouTube.
Right. So there was that. And there's a lot of, I know, like for me, I've gotten a lot of calls from people who are worried and, you know, a little scared, and I get it. Right. Things are weird. And this is where I go, like what we were talking about last time, like it doesn't matter what's going on in the world. You got stepping back and going, okay, so what's my part in this? What's triggering me right now? What can I release and let go right now? So I've been working with clients on that aspect of like pulling back from the world and going, okay, so what's the trigger within you, and what can you heal in that? What's it triggering? So going back to that Ho'oponopono thing, where we use that work to heal every trigger that comes up. And I'll tell you, this time gives us the opportunity to clear a lot of that lower frequency stuff, right? It really is giving us a divine opportunity. So so grateful about that. The other piece that was, and again, this is, I think I've shared with the community, our community here, when, you know, the hatred conversation, right? And I will have to say, because when I heard about this last Saturday, when it happened, in this community where I live, it's a lot about the hatred. I hate that person. I wish that person was dead. I mean, it's like they talk about this why in the open. I was like that, and it's like I know I've said you don't really mean that. Oh yeah, I do. Oh, it's like so I go. Of course that's going to trigger me, right? So I got to go and I got to clean myself with that. What I noticed this time is that there's not that's not happening in this community, right? Where I had to come back to it this morning. And I don't know how I'm going to be received in the community when things like this happen. But for me, it didn't matter. I was just coming in joyful and good and happy. And even one of the people that really is like a staunch hater of the person that almost got assassinated, there was no conversation about that. It was just like, it was like, I'm going, oh, wow, I'm not being triggered by anything. Oh my God. I was so excited this morning because none of that. It was just good morning. How's everyone? It was like, it was beautiful. So I could see the level of work I did and have done with clearing and cleaning. So I invite anyone else who is being triggered or hearing other people being triggered, start doing your work, clean and clear that trigger away. So
Yeah, I learned actually from moment started all this really movie, the real movie in 2020. Yeah, I learned from beginning to be in center, in the eye of the storm. Just stay on the eye of the storm, and that's the calmest place you can actually be. And I make my home as the eye of the storm, and I'm here, and I feel safe, and I feel happy, and all I can do is send love and light out to everybody else who needs it.
mhm, mhm,
Yeah, I try not to go down in any of this. Yes, sometimes is obviously I'm human being. Yeah, sometimes my own life gives me knockouts, and Morganne knows all my knockouts. Yeah, but but still I'm getting up and I in the middle again. I'm in the center of my storm, and that's it. Everything else, it's just I'm here. Who needs me? I'm here, but I'm like, I'm not going in drama what everybody else is
mhm,
having.
mhm.
Not interested. That's why I'm not watching news since 2020 at all. Period. Those news somehow find me with
Yeah,
my clients.
right. It does find us, doesn't it? Like I had people were calling me. It was like I was out. What was I set up a big, huge wooden train set for the community for everybody to go play with. It's something that I had and it had like bridges, and I was over there playing and building bridges and creating little cities, and I was having a good time. And my phone was just ringing off the hook. I was like, "What the heck?" So I got home and decided to answer one of those calls, and they were just like freaking out. I was like, okay, let's stop and take a breath here. Let's let's get centered here. Let's work on that trigger. So
Yeah,
yeah.
what about you, Jamie?
Um, it's interesting. You know, last election and this election, I'm just watching and observing, and I don't feel it's not affecting me like it's affecting other people. And I'm just, it's like this is happening, and we could get all riled up about it and everything, but are we really doing anything by getting all riled up? You know, and so it's just watching it and becoming curious. And it's such a fascinating place to be, because I'm detached from the outcome. And it's just amazing when you get detached from the outcome, seeing the chaos that it creates. And it's like kind of playing the stock market. No one knows what's going to be the best thing, you know, because as soon as we say that's going to be the best thing, I'll make a lot of money, you know, something happens, and it's nothing's guaranteed. And so I'm watching this play out, and it's just like, it's taking our attention away from the important things in life, which is working on ourselves and our community. And it's like, I'm just fascinated with it, you know, because people are for it or against it. Or it's like, it's a lot of BS, you know, like when we work on ourselves first, and then work on our community, like our community, and just work our way out. That's the best we can do. Because if we're sitting there thinking about, you know, like getting riled up about the country, we're not doing a thing. But you know, it has to start with us, and then move out, and then we're really making change, because it's going to have ripple effects. And it's like the small things have major impact.
Yep, it does. That when you're talking about that, it reminded me about, you know, like on a big, huge tanker ship, all those big, huge ships. There's this little thing underneath the ship. It's called a trim tab, and it's not very big, but it's what actually turns the ship. It's these tiny little movements. It's called the trim tab, and it moves that huge, massive, and it's just this little thing. So it's the little things that we're doing, right, that can turn us. It's the choices we make. It's the direction we decide to go in, right? But it's just taking the little bit of a different course. This reminds me of a Viktor Frankl quote. I'm going to see if I can find it. I love Viktor Frankl. What a brilliant man that was. And let's just see if I can find it really quick on this computer. It's all about, oh, look at that. Okay. It says, between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Right? And that's it right there. It's just those little, it's in that space, right? It's that where we stop, and that's, you know, and everybody knows my favorite thing in Course in Miracles, choose again. Okay, choose again.
And that points out to me is when we have an immediate reaction, it's probably not the best reaction. You know, it's or response. It's taking the time and seeing a bigger picture around what's happening. But sometimes we're so conditioned to respond immediately, and we're not doing anybody any favors by responding immediately. Right. You know, it's not a conscious thought. You know, it's just a reaction.
It's a reaction. And look at even that word, reacting. So you're playing out something that you played out probably a lot of time. You're reacting over and over again to something. And that's where you want to stop and get in that go to that space where, well, is this my only choice? Is this my only choice? Right. Right. And then it's when we have that courage to get into that space and challenge the reaction or the reacting, then we're responding. We become response able. We have the capacity to respond. We become able to respond. Otherwise, we're reacting over and over again.
Right. And when we react, we're not being responsible
Yep.
in what we're in our words or our actions. And it's really important for us to own our own stuff. And and it because it comes out every way we can. And if we don't own it and be aware of ourselves, that's the most, we got to start with ourselves first. If we have a reaction to anything, it's all about us.
Yep.
And so we have to work on ourselves first, so we can see more clearly. The more we work on ourselves, the more we see clearly. We awaken to our own lives.
I actually I liked in this quote what Morganne was reading out, that is about this growth, yeah. And
Yep.
I, talking about those elections, I remember 4 years ago, I was completely assumed in this who, where, what. I was absolutely sure because I was listening all of those true speakers, yeah, white hats. I was completely in all this, that this hated man has to win, and he will win and everything will be fine. And I was literally there, like keeping my fingers crossed for him and so on. And I was so shocked when it didn't happen. But again, it was part of the growth, because from that moment on, I understand that BS and huge BS is all those true speakers and all those who predicted all this, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I start more and more question everything what I'm watching. So now I'm dropping off completely everything. I have couple people like
Yep.
time and time again checking in.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not um like blindly following them. I'm not, they are not my gurus. Whatever they say goes. Yeah, and no,
Yeah. You
no,
know,
I'm taking everything through me. If my inner self is saying yes, I can agree with that. Yeah,
yes.
it sounds okay. Yeah, then yes, I'm taking this. Okay, this person probably say the right things. Yeah, but apart from that, they can tell me who they want to be. Mediums, psychics, oracles, who else there is? Yeah, not not. I do not. If it's not agreed with me, that's it.
Yep. I see it a lot. People want you on their side, right? Yeah, come on my side. Come on. It's always the lure to come in, but that place where you're talking about is where you are standing in yourself, right? I'm going to let this filter through me. I'm going to let me, it's like not being pulled or yanked or to get positional, right? I was talking to somebody, I think it was sometime last week about we have the opportunity at any time to step back and not get positional, to get true to ourselves. And that's what you're talking about right there. Not get positional, not get, because we can get positional because, we agree with people because we want to be friends, right? Or we agree with people because they look like they have power or authority. And so you got to watch what you attach to, right? You got to watch what you say. Oh, okay, I'm going to cozy up to this one, right? But if you haven't run it through that filter of your own truth and your own authenticity, You really, and the growth piece. Oh my God, our country, our world right now has every opportunity to be in that growth cycle. But there's a huge faction of that are just stuck in the, it's, this is right, this is wrong, this is right. You know, they still haven't matured enough as, sometimes humans can be really dumb, right? They get really attached to what they think is right, their righteousness. When I go, what if this was just like some massive test that we were given from the divine and we all failed, right? Because we didn't choose love. We chose position, we chose righteousness, we chose a group or a faction. We didn't choose love. Just period. Let's just choose love. And the person that I was talking to looked stunned when I said that, because they are very positional. And I just was like, it was like an insight I got, like it just came out of my mouth, right? It's like, we failed. We failed. And I just walked out. I don't know how that person's doing today, but you know, it was kind of like, if we're not choosing love, then what are we choosing?
Right. And that's the thing is, a lot of people are black and white thinking. Like, you know, it's either this or this. And if it's not this, it's wrong, you know?
Huh?
And I think the world is made up of a lot of gray. And if we don't live in that grayness, you know, we're closing, our world becomes awfully small, you know, because we're choosing one side or the other, and it's everything. It's everything. And we have to be open to accept everything, because everything is here, regardless of whether we accept it or not. You know, so we might as well just accept it and learn from it.
Yep. That's that either or consciousness. But there's the other one, which is this and this. Oh, it's a this and a this. Oh, and it could be this too. So what else is possible? Well, it could be this and this, right? And then you're getting into that creative thinking. You're getting into that expansive thinking. You're getting into your authentic self, because really that's what we are. We're expansive beings that currently, what I see a lot of humanity, they're not. They have shrunk down. They're
fearful.
Huh? Fearful. Yep. Positional.
Fearful is all about closing in.
Yep. And then, but when you like start to think about it's this and this, oh, it's this and this, oh, and it may be this and this, you know, it's like you get into that expansive thinking. Well, then now we're touching who we are, really that creator self, right? That the capacity within us to activate more of our DNA to the truth of who we are, activating that angelic self of us, that crystalline aspect of us. Those pieces of us that have been what I call dumbed down, right, through media, education, you know, whatever got to us, families, whatever got to us and made us little, dumbed us down. And it's like, but that's not the truth of us. We're expanded, incredible beings. And that's where I just love for everybody one morning to wake up and go, oh my God, I'm an expanded consciousness. Oh my God, you know? So in the meantime, I do it for people, you know, it's like I wake up and it's like another day of infinite possibility.
Right. And, you know, I mean, we're all going to have problems now and then, you know, in our life. It's just human, you know, it's just being part of this earth. But, you know, if we can look at problems as opportunities to learn and grow, because problems are, we're drawing that, if everything's made up of energy, we're drawing those problems to us. So there must be something in there that we need to learn from. You know, so what's the lessons? And that's the questions we need to ask is, what are the lessons here? And I love what you always say, Morganne, is what's possible? What's possible?
What else is possible?
Yeah, what else is possible? I mean, it's you're in the world of expansion when you ask that.
Yeah.
And it's it's a place of growth.
Yep. If we're not, what we are in is a habitual pattern, right? Because we can become creatures of habit, right? And the habit usually is based on trying to feel good, trying to feel better, trying to stop hurting or whatever. So we get into habits, and that's where you see addictions happen, right? Because they'll get into something that, oh, well, I don't feel so sad now. Let's just do that again. And let's do that again, right? Over and over. And now it's a habit, or worse, an addiction, right? And we get addicted to bad thinking too, right? Positional thinking, righteous thinking. We get addicted to that, making people wrong. That's all that habitual thinking. But it's like, what if we broke the habit of all of that and began to sit in that alive language, that living language of life? That's what I wrote down last night that I wanted to talk about. It's starting to come back. It's funny when you work with two computers, So yeah, that sense of aliveness. If we're not experiencing the sense of aliveness within us, then we're dying, right? We're stuck. We're energetically on that lower frequency scale. But when we step into aliveness in nonviolent communication model, which we teach here in the community, one of the things that I love that they say in there is, and we start a class or a group this way, we go, what's alive in you right now? What's alive in you? Right? And go contact that. What's alive in you, right? And it may be, I'm angry, could be alive in you. It could be, whatever is alive in you, identify that. And then, because a lot of people, they go through life just feeling feelings. They don't know that it's a choice to not experience that. They don't get that because they're in the habit of it. So I love that. So aliveness, the more alive we are, the more we're in that. What else is possible? Well, what else can we do? Again, that's why I like hanging around little kids, because they're still in it. They're still remembering that this other thing is still possible, right? What else, right? I was with my granddaughter the other day, and she came with me where I'm staying to help my friend with her pets in her house. And I'd gotten her this little crafty thing that came in a little packet with a little puppy, and you paint it, but you can also scrub it and wash it off. So it gives her something to do, right? So, but it only came with 2 colors, orange and green. Well, neither one of those are her favorite colors. And so she first got really upset when she opened it up and saw there was only orange and green. I go, well, what's possible? What's possible here, right? And so she was like doing things to the little puppy, and then she'd go wash it off, and she'd come back and she goes, Grandma, look what happened. It's so beautiful. It's like it was like it shifted for her, like, yeah, it's just orange and green, but what's possible with those orange and green colors? What can you create, with those? And she did, and she just kept working with what was possible, where, before she was already stuck on, it's not pink and purple, right? Which are her favorite colors. We got orange and green, it's like, well, what's possible here? So even helping her go back to that possibility, because I see she's already getting very opinionated about what's right and what's wrong. It was totally wrong to have orange and green in the pack. Oh, but what's possible here? So having that possibility is that place that Viktor Frankl talks about, is that gap, right? It's not being attached to how things are supposed to be, but it's that gap of what's possible. Yeah. I've been yakking it up. Somebody else should talk.
No, I think it's very interesting what you've been talking about. What you think, Ginny?
I absolutely agree. The possibilities of everything. It's just it makes life exciting. We can there. Everybody talks about how bad things are and everything, and it's just like, well, what is possible? It just opens the world so much, and if everything's made up of energy, which it is, our thoughts are energy, and it's like, where do we want to put our thoughts? Well, I've been listening to a lot of aging podcasts, and they're talking about the impact of our thoughts on us, and how our negative thoughts, the body doesn't know whether it's true what's happening, or if it's just in our thoughts, and so it's having major impacts on our body, and it's just amazing to know all this, and it helps us to become more awake and aware of how we are in the present day, and how we're living our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And we're always at choice. We are always at choice. And sometimes we feel like we don't have any choices, but we absolutely do. And where we should begin with is within ourselves, and think about how am I thinking? Like change our thought process.
Yeah, and absolutely. And
what else is possible?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It's like, do things differently too, right? If you get out on one side of the bed all the time, switch it up. Go out the other side of the bed.
Right. And it's not only that, but it's like people get stuck in their own lives, like they get into routines that they're not thinking about possibilities, so then they go out and buy things to make them feel better, and it's like, what if we can appreciate exactly what we have, and just because we're all living in abundance in a way, there's we all have way more than we need, and it's like, there's so much to be grateful for. And it's if we just go there, and start getting into the gratefulness of our lives, to be alive and be able to breathe. It's just like, and the beauty that's all around us, especially now in the summer, it's just, there's so much to be grateful for. And yet we can look at the negative, and we could be in the dumps all day. It's our choice. We're at choice all the time.
Absolutely.
That's how I had client just now. We had couple sessions, and after that, she was telling me that she can't stand. She hated the technique to be in the moment. It's absolutely absurd. She hated snow globe protection, because that's all reminds her theater master class trainings, yeah, and she hates all that. She needs to know all about brains, and why she needs. Oh yeah, and journal she doesn't want to write. She doesn't see any reason to write journal. Yeah, and actually her brain needs like scientific proof for everything to actually do something. Yeah, she cannot stand some kind of this type of techniques. Yeah, that's only for kids, and that's not serious, and so on. Yeah, and I was nicely by points explaining to her that actually that is two parts of brains, right part and left part of brains. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and they both have to work together to actually move forward. You. Yeah. Yeah, and what shocked me the most was that she told me that she can be grateful to herself about something, yeah, but she most definitely don't think and don't believe in anything higher. And I was like, oh, now is something to talk about. Yeah, and I write like couple pages to her, like by points, what she was telling me, yeah, what
Mm-hmm.
she said in those techniques, what I was giving journal, be in the moment, and snow globe protection, yeah. And I was telling her how, yes, I totally agreed. You need to be in your power. You need to be grateful for everything you're doing, what your body can do, what you can do. Yes, great that you stand in your power, but you didn't make this planet. You didn't make water, which one actually keeps you alive. You didn't make sun, which one again warms you up and keeps you alive. Yeah. You didn't make birds, flowers, and so on and so on. I said I can go on for half an hour. Yeah. Which is absolutely nothing to do with being grateful to yourself. Yeah. So how come you completely dismiss something which is there around you? Yeah. And believe only in your power and in yourself. Yeah. And in your brains and scientific proof of it. Yeah. So yeah, I sometimes meet that kind of people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So lovely people.
Yeah, humanity, right? We're all at different levels, but we can only
And
really.
this one is level minus, 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 I don't know, thousand. This
Yeah.
is not negative thinking. This is not 1 or 20 or 10. It's minus, minus, minus thousand.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
if you don't see anything great around you, but it's nothing to do with yourself.
Well, for
Yeah.
me, when I get up too, I think I created it all. I go, oh, look at this gorgeous day. Oh my God. Look what I created. It's not an egotistical thing, but it's my connection with source, right? It's like what I have. So it's just different ways to look at it. You can always tell if she's on the wrong path if she's not happy, right? If there's no happiness, then people, because I think our natural state is joy. I really do, bliss and joy. And if we're not there, that's you can see I if you're okay, I'd like to. I pulled up another quote. This is
Of
by
course.
Joseph Campbell. I
Wait,
love.
can we go? Can I say something about what Dega said before we move
Oh
on?
yes, absolutely.
Um, it sounds like this woman has a lot of walls up. That she's living in her left brain because she feels safe using knowledge, book knowledge, to be in the world. And what it sounds like is she's left her right brain, which is her emotions and her feelings and everything to do with connection and love.
Mhm.
And so I would ask her what happened to her, because she, as a child, you don't come into this world, in your left brain. You come in your right brain, and you learn how to work in your left brain. And so it's there's a whole world that she's not experiencing living in her left brain, and it's not working for her. like, it's not just like it wouldn't be working for people who live completely in their right brain. We need the balance of both.
Mhm.
And so it's important to get at the root, of what happened to her, because that's living inside of her, whatever happened to her, and you need to excavate it in order for her to be able to feel safe enough to go into the right brain. Like, she has a lot of walls up, and the knowledge, the book smart is our walls that are not helping her in life, and I've seen it time and time again, and it's really sad, because what she desperately needs is or wants and desires is connection, and she can't do it in the left brain.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. That's all totally true. Absolutely. Yeah, you say it that way, but there's also, like in Course in Miracles, there's the right thinking mind and there's the wrong thinking mind, right? And she's totally she's not in that expansive state at all. She's in a very contracted, this is the way it is state, right? And there's a sadness in that, because she's not getting to experience what else is possible, right? For her. Yeah. So helping her discover what's keeping her from experiencing that's a beautiful journey right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeannie was talking a little while ago about the growing older, right? The aging piece. And it reminded me of a piece that Joseph Campbell had talked about. I love Joseph Campbell. I don't know if you know who he is, Dega. He's
I don't.
really did a lot of work with archetypes, and the lovely thing is he's actually my teacher for a year. And this is before he became famous. So I knew him before he became famous, and Bill Moyer got a hold of him, and then he was known around the world with his work. But he addresses, and I just want to throw it out here if anyone's listening that wants, because I got pulled down that thread with you around the aging piece, right? The getting older piece. And what he says is, and this is from his book, The Power of Myth. The problem in middle life, when the body has reached its climax of power and begins to decline, is to identify yourself not with the body, which is falling away, but with the consciousness of which it is a vehicle. This is something I learned from myths. What am I? Am I the bulb that carries the light? Or am I the light of which the bulb is a vehicle? One of the psychological problems in growing old is the fear of death. People resist the door of death, but this body is a vehicle of consciousness. And if you can identify with the consciousness, you can watch this body go like an old car. There goes the fender, there goes the tire, one thing after another, but it's predictable. And then gradually the whole thing drops off and consciousness rejoins consciousness. It is no longer in this particular environment.
Mm.
And what I love about that is this is all temporary. This physicality, right? It's a vehicle in which our consciousness resides, and this is temporary. And parts of it, like, oh yeah, well, this happens, right? Or the wrinkly things happen, or whatever happens, right? That's just I call it wear and tear, right? When I'm bombing on my bike or whatever, I've had some pretty good spills. I don't not get on my bike. It's just a body. It's just a body. But I loved it, and you reminded me of this quote, this piece from Joseph Campbell, in that when we look at ourselves as consciousness as opposed to a body, I think we shift the whole conversation in a whole different way, right? Like, you're not your body, and of course he's addressing death here, but I'm going to address it as life. We're consciousness. Where are we being alive? I'll go back to that conversation that I really wanted to talk about today, which is about being alive. What's alive in you? What's living inside of you? And to be aware of that, because that's all that we end up with is consciousness. And when this thing goes away, when we're done with the vehicle, then consciousness is what remains. And so it's like, what is it? So the goal could be, how do you want to go out with what consciousness you want to go out with, right? It's like, pick, choose, and follow whatever comes from the choosing, right? So if you want to be a joyous consciousness, well, darn, you're going to have to learn how to be happy, right? If you're going to be and we'll go back to your lady, Daga, right? So she's choosing the lower frequencies, right? Which is just her choice. No judgment. It's just like, for me, it would be sad. I was like, I wouldn't want to go down that path, but that's her path right now. And it's like something about the path for her is giving her something, right? It's giving her something. All choices are giving you something, but to recognize that we're just consciousness. And if she died today, that's the consciousness she would die with, right? Because we are where we are, and we choose what we choose. And yeah. So anyway, I just wanted to, I thought that was a good way to kind of, I know we're coming towards the end of this cycle here.
Can I just say one thing before we?
Oh, please.
One of the things that she is doing is she is out of balance, not only because of the not using the right brain, but she's out of balance because she, like Morganne says, she's getting something out of this. And what she's getting out of is she might be really good in a specific field, like that in her job, or but it's not a balanced life. And so it's she needs to see a bigger picture of a balanced life. So yeah, because when we live in one, like there's people who think their careers are everything, and they live for their careers, and they're workaholics, but once they leave their careers, once they retire or something happens, they're completely lost, and they have no life, and it's like they're waking up for the first time that they have no life, and it's like, it's for me as a therapist, it's my job to show them, to let them know what their life is, and what is this what they want, that everybody's a choice. So, but just to make make it more explicit about how they're living their lives. So I'll let us go now. I just want to say.
Yeah. I think that's important to think about, even in our own lives, right? What we can get attached to what we're good at, and then and when that's over, there's attachment too, right? If we stay attached to it, then there's the suffering. She sounds to me like she's suffering. So what is she attached to, right? So yeah. Oh, humanity.
Okay, Morganne, it's time for my favorite part.
Okay, yeah. All right. So let's see what Source has got for us today. Okay. So I'm just going to invite everybody to, let's just get really present. And let's just begin by taking a beautiful breath in. And let the breath out. Consciousness, breathing can be just so it's just so automatic. But when you bring awareness and consciousness to breath, there's a whole different thing that happens. So I invite you to get conscious on your next breath. Like, I'm going to take this breath in and I'm going to feel how the air goes in and where it goes. So take a moment to get really conscious with this next breath. And we'll even expand it a little bit more. What are you breathing in? Let's like, okay, what is this air, right? So it's composed of H2O, hydrogen, oxygen, but there also may be fragrances around you. You're also breathing that in. Whatever it is, get really conscious about this next breath. Like, I'm taking this breath in and I'm going to be really present to this breath. Okay. So let's begin. Get conscious about, I'm taking a conscious breath in, breathe it in, feel where it goes. Notice where it lands inside of your body. And before you let that breath go, look at that pause between the breath. What's happening there? And then choose to let the breath go. Choose. Fully emptying, fully be conscious about the emptying too. And before you take that next breath, become conscious. Be conscious of the pause here. And then make a decision to take the next breath. And then consciously take that breath in. Watching where it goes. The expansion in the lungs. Filling up the diaphragm. And then just sit in the pause before the out breath. What comes up? And then consciously let it go and watch how the air goes out. Emptying, releasing, letting it go. And we do this exercise just to become conscious, because we get so, it's just a habit, right? It just becomes, and it's a good habit that our body breathes automatically, but to become conscious of the breath, of how it goes in the nostrils and where it lands in the body, and what's the space between that, being curious about that space. And as we just continue this identification of consciousness, we're going to talk about the power to choose, like Viktor Frankl talked about. Between the stimulus and the response, there is a space. And so I'd like everyone to imagine something that has happened. And it could be a good happen, or it could be a not good happen, right? Just think about, bring up an event. This is your stimulus. So something has happened. And notice what's happening. What's the reaction that's happening? And it could be that event that happened last Saturday with a near assassination. It could be something in your family. What's happened? And just become aware of your reaction. Take a moment. In the what happens, how are you reacting? Playing it out again. This same old feeling, this same old reaction. And then just noticing the reaction, just for a moment, let the reaction go and just be in the pause between the what happened and what you're going to do about it. Bring your energy to that center place, that pause. Noticing the reactions, noticing if your breathing has changed. Are you sweating? What are the thoughts coming up? What does the body want to do? And then just come back to the space. And in the space is our divine opportunity to choose. If you were not choosing the reaction, what would be a response that you would feel good about self? Maybe this time it's you're going to choose to love unconditionally. Maybe it's this time you're going to choose curiosity. Just take a moment and choose something different than the reaction. And as you choose something different, come back to the space. So there's the reaction on how you would do it without being conscious. And then there's the conscious place where you're choosing, oh, I could have a different response. But bring it back. Bring it back. And in that space, what do you choose? Do you choose the reaction? Or do you choose a new response? Bring your breath back to the space. Between that stimulus and the response, go to that space. It's in that space is our power to choose our response. And imagine if you chose this response, this new response, who you could be, what's possible here in the new response. What's possible? This power to choose a new response. What's possible? And just take a breath in and bring yourself back to the choosing space, just the space. Because really, your reaction has just happened in your head, and your response is the different one. The different response is happening in your head. But coming back to the space, now you can choose what it is you want to be in the world as. This is a sacred space, the 0 point space, wherein lies everything that's possible that we get to choose. Take a breath in and just relax into that breath, conscious breath, bringing consciousness back to our breathing, bringing consciousness back to our thinking, bringing consciousness back to our behaviors, bringing consciousness to how we are in the world, being awake, being conscious, being alive, living in the what else is possible. Breath in. And that's a choice too, to live from that place of what else is possible. What else is possible? And in bringing awareness and in bringing this consciousness, we can bring a better capacity to choose. Our choosing becomes more conscious, it becomes more awake, it becomes more alive. So, in recognizing this and remembering this, I just am going to give thanks right here for the brilliant conversation that we've had today. For this conversation really is for each and every one of us to bring awareness and consciousness to who we choose to be in the world. Not what the world tells us to be, or groups tell us to be, or families tell us to be, but who am I as a divine impulse, as a conscious creator? Who am I in this world? Am I the light? Am I the light bulb? Or am I both? What do you choose to be? The living light? And so I just give thanks for all that has occurred here this day, for this awareness and bringing consciousness back to breath and thought and feeling. So as we walk in our world, we become conscious entities of love and goodness and kindness and joy, bringing the template and the frequency of these things to our world. Free, absolutely free of all reaction, because now we choose. So I give thanks for all of that. I give thanks for this time we've come together. And I bless each and every one of us as we move into our world conscious, awake, aware. And so it is.
Is there anything else, Jeannie, you want to say?
No, thank you.
Of course.
Oh, are we going to laugh?
Thank you, Morganne.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you very much. Thank you, girls, for coming. Thank you. Oh, thank you, everybody who is watching now, and thank you, everybody who will be watching in the future. Please, if you like our show, please like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so we can reach more and more people who need our help. And please join us again next week. Hopefully, if everything be fine, we will be back next week, same time, same place. God bless.
Bye, everybody.